Good morning, this is Ben, and responding this morning to Bill Bone 99's video, which is not really, he just posted something from Scarborough country, and the video is called Bill Maher Lays Waste to Religion. So if you want to look that up, that's how you look it up. So Bill Maher was attacking religion. This is an older segment, but I thought it was worth responding to. He says, in essence, that religious stories, how can you tell them apart from fairy tales? And that if you were a kid in the bed and someone came and told you a religious story, would you really be able to tell a difference between that and a fairy tale? Well, obviously it's a little bit unfair, Bill, because children, let's face it, aren't the best judges of these kinds of things. As they get older, they become better judges. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I didn't believe any of it. I didn't care, It's not something I thought about until, I was 13. But at any rate, we must understand that just because something has something in common with, thing B, that does not make thing A and thing B the same. There are huge differences between fairy tales and these religious stories. He gave the example of Jonah and the whale. Well, in Armenia today, they still celebrate the coming of Jonah to speak to them. Religious stories are set within geographical and political Earth, our planet Earth. And they don't purport to take place in some fairyland. They purport to take place on Earth. Fairy tales do not claim this. I mean, the best you may get is Peter and the Wolf is Russian, or in Russia, or Cinderella's Russian, or something like that. But for the most part, these are just random people, and they live, I guess sometime in the Dark Ages or maybe the Upper Middle Ages. But who knows, right? There's no claim in the fairy tale of when so-and-so was king, and this person came to preach to these people, and this war, and these people took over this land, and they're still Jews today. So again, Bill, you seem to have picked the example very carefully, and we've left we've picked the similarities out, but we haven't taken time to notice the differences. Now, the point he makes, which has been made many times over, but he makes it certainly today. Your parents tell you what to believe, and you believe it. And if you look at the breakdown, people in these areas believe all the same thing, and this culture over here believes this, and this culture over there believes that. First of all, there are some surveys out there. I mean, I didn't take time to do all the research, but America is not exactly Christian, and the Middle East isn't exactly Muslim. You see, if you deconvert from your father's belief in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, you will have to go before a court. And so there's a lot of people who would like to disbelieve or become, what Bill is, and an atheist or a Christian or something else, but there's legal force against them. Furthermore, look at Bill. He's claimed to have a Catholic upbringing, but he's not Catholic, and so obviously it's not as cut and dry as that. And even if you look in the Bible, there are two words in the Bible was written in Greek. It was written long before English existed, and there are two words that you could possibly translate as faith. Okay, one is Nemitzo, which comes from which would be I believe, or I have faith, or I'm faithful. But it comes from Nomos, which means law or custom. It means you believe. Someone just slammed the door. Is weird. It means you believe something because your parents believed, and you say, well, why do they believe? Oh, well, their parents believed, and you say, well, why do they believe? Oh, their parents believed. And what about their parents? Oh, well, they also believe. The Nomos and the Mitzo would be exactly what Bill's talking about. Exactly what Bill Maher's talking about. There was a Greek word for that type of belief. a separate word. It is not the word that's used in the New Testament. Anytime you see the word faith translated in the New Testament, it is always derived from pistuo, pistis. Well, pistuo would be the verb, pistis would be the noun, and it comes from this Greek root peto, which means I'm persuaded. In other words, I didn't previously believe this, but now I do. And so biblical faith is never believing it because your parents did. It's always, I started out not believing it, and I was persuaded over to this. And in fact, that's basic Christian, I guess, anthropology, if you say that all men are born sinners. Now, the other point that we have to notice is that when Bill and Richard Dawkins and so many other people set up this system where they say, look at the geographical setup of, look where people are born, and they somehow magically believe what they're born into. We must take a look at the options that are given here. Okay, so let's just examine what options are given for us to examine the situation. They're saying, option 1, people are accidentally born, and most of them to their parents, and most of them follow their parents in religion without question. Or option 2, people are accidentally born to their parents, and most of them, or none of them, follow their parents without question. In other words, they're saying either people question their parents or they don't. But what Bill and so many others are leaving out is, what if people aren't accidentally born to their parents? What if this is not an accident? What if there is a God? And what if there's an overarching scheme here that goes deeper? All of a sudden, the situation can become evidence for the existence of a God in that light. I mean, I don't think it really would be very convincing, because you could also say that people just believe because their parents told them to. But on the other hand, it's also completely possible that there's a God who's overseeing where people are born. People complain and say, well, God can do this and God can do that. How do we test God? Because whatever happened, God did it. Well, there are some claims made, and there would be some, but where God wants people to be born, and there's no biblical claim. I mean, I don't know any revelation where they say God will always have these people born here. So cars can come by. So there's no claim about this. So a Christian is, who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But it's also important to note, now, it's not necessarily cut and dry as we think. A lot of people in Muslim countries are underground disbelievers in Islam, and a lot of people in Christian countries, say I'm a Christian, but they say that because, hey, their parents are Christian, but they don't actually, believe it, and so they're not actually Christians. Yeah. So anyway.